Hi guys, yeah, so just resuming here our video, right? On the previous session, lesson, we installed the Ubuntu 22 LTS, right? I just clicked open, and now on my terminal, I am installing a couple of things here. And basically what is installing is that we are installing this Windows subsystem for Linux. Basically, this allows us to run Linux on our server, all right? So while this thing downloading, okay, we are gonna go basically here to the browser, and we're gonna search for Laravel, right? That's what we're gonna be using here as a framework to install everything. The other thing that I'm gonna be using here is that I am gonna be using Docker, right? Which I'm gonna Dockerize my application because I don't want to be handling dependencies, and I just wanna have something that works. Let me just double check. So this is still being enabled. All right. Nice. So what we're going to do here is that you're going to go to GitHub. All right. If you don't know what's GitHub, is where we have source codes and everything, in between. I'm going to open up here one of my repos, and we're going to be using this wrapper that I created for Laravel. So this is, asset GitHub repo that I created specially to handle and run Laravel. So it has everything that I need to run Laravel without having to spend countless hours setting up and running things from scratch and all that stuff. So this is called devops-laravel-docker-simple, right? And I will, of course, include the link on the description, but you can, search here. And then you should see that one available. All right. So what I'm going to do now is that once this is running, I already have my subsystem running. So now I'm going to type here Linux, right? Or Ubuntu. I am gonna, or maybe WSL. Yes, open up WSL. That's what you're gonna do. Why is it not running? If you press key, WSL, run as an administrator. Yes. Or maybe we have to type Ubuntu. Error, the operation cannot be started because the feature is not installed. Oh, I see. Right. We need to go to our store. And we're going to search here WSL, all right? I'm going to press enter. And I think I search for WSL, system, run. Let me double check what is going on here. What I'm gonna do here, I think, is that I need to restart my Windows. It is running now. Okay. All right. So if I launch the WSL, what is that issue happening? Perfect. Try to run Ubuntu again. Hi guys. Yeah. So what I had to do here, it's a very simple thing. I just had to restart my Windows. And let me show what I did here. Let me just close the stuff. So what I did is that I restarted my Windows and I type WSL. So that's going to open up the WSL, right? I already have the container running, which is great. But on the first time, you won't have this, right? You won't have this because you have to set up the username. Unfortunately, I can't go back to this because I had a crash on my video. But what happened is that it's going to ask you to type your username and your password. All right. On my case, I typed the username as Unreal, and my password is just Unreal123. All right. Very simple. And if you close this by mistake, you just have to type on your on here just WSL or Ubuntu. They are both opening the same distro. All right. Now, if you do apt you should have commands that you can run. All right, so now that you have your WSL set up on your machine, right? We're gonna install something called Docker, all right? And basically Docker, what it does, it's a virtual machine that allows us to install a bunch of dependencies inside. So we don't have to be installing everything manually on the system, because I wanted to make this as simple and easy as possible for you guys. So what I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna go back to my Google, right? And I'm just gonna Google how to install Docker. And on this case, I'm using here, let's say, the DigitalOcean. You may find different examples, but let's use this one, right? First of all, we need to run this command. So I'm gonna paste it here. Now it's gonna ask for my password. So it's gonna be Unreal123. So it's gonna take a while. Now I am gonna run instead of apt, just apt upgrade. So it's gonna install any missing dependency or anything like that. Now, the next thing that we need to do here, it looks like, I'm not entirely sure why we're installing all this stuff, but let's just keep following the guide. So let's copy that. Once this is finished, let's paste it and let's press enter. Yeah, I want to install all that thing. Now I'm going to copy the next one. I'm going to paste it right here. Now I am gonna go back here. I'm gonna press copy and I'm gonna press enter. So it's gonna install all this stuff. Now I can just run this policy, let's say that. So now it says that we should see the Docker version and a bunch of stuff, which we do. Yeah, which is nice. And now we can just run the install Docker CE. Let's make sure we do yes. And as you can see, it's downloading quite a bunch of stuff after this operation is finished, because it's probably installing and downloading all sorts of things that we needed for it. Now, after we done that, right, we should be already have Docker set up on our machine. So what I'm gonna do here is that I'm just gonna pause the video and actually no, I'll just wait it. Yeah, all right. So now Docker PS. So let's just run sudo Docker PS. We should have our container. So if I do Docker compose, we have all those commands right. Great, so we have everything that we needed to basically start to create our server. There's one more thing that we need to do here, very simple, is that I'm gonna go back here on my Google and I am gonna search for install makefile Ubuntu. All right, and let's just search here for make version. I don't have any makefile support install, right? Also, it tells how you can install, so I can just run this, install make. And that basically allows us to install the make support, which is something we're going to be using here to install our engine. All right, guys. So now we have pretty much everything that we need to run. Now, also, if you want to see the files on your browser, on your where they're installed, you just go back to your Linux, and they are here. All right. So for example, let's create here on the command line a new folder. So I'm just gonna do ls. I'm gonna do mkdir, and I'm gonna call this Unreal or MMO server. Right? Now, if you go back to that folder here, if you go to, I think it's, let me just expand it out. If you go back to home, Unreal, I have the folder right here, right? Sorry, Unreal MMO server. There we go. We have the MMO server right there. But anyway, now the next thing I would like to do is that we need to install on this folder, on this server, a wrapper that will run our server. Okay, it's basically a bunch of services that already have prepared and set up for us, so we don't have to spend too much time setting this thing up. All right. All right, guys. Yeah. So now what you need to do here is that we're gonna go to GitHub. All right. And on GitHub, you're gonna go on the search repository, and you are gonna type dev ops dash laravel dash docker dash simple. All right. That's a personal repository that I have that I created a couple of years ago that allow me to run, forget about the description, I have to change this, but it just allows me to run Laravel in a Docker container. Now, the way you use this is that we need to clone this repo, all right? So we're gonna copy here the URL, all right? Or you have an option here, what is it? Last month code, we have clone, that we can just type clone or HTTP. I'm gonna use, just the, I'm gonna copy the URL because it's a public repo, doesn't matter. I'm gonna go back here and I am gonna do this git clone, and I'm gonna paste the name. But before I do that, I just realized one thing. I'm gonna cd to my MMO server, and now I'm gonna do a git clone. I'm gonna type that, and there we go. Now if I do ls, I have my Laravel, Docker, blah 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 simple. So I'm gonna cd to that thing, all right? And I'm gonna do a clear, and now I am gonna cd to this folder called project, and I'm gonna do a ls to see where I am. And now I have here, a couple of informations and a couple of things here that I can use, okay? Now, the next thing I wanna do here is that I wanna go in my browser, and I'm gonna search here Laravel git repo. And I'm gonna click on the first option. Make sure that it's just Laravel /Laravel, right? Make sure you're in the right folder. Now I'm gonna go back, and I am gonna type git clone, right? And I'm gonna wait to see what's gonna happen. That basically is gonna download the project to my machine, which is all I wanted. And I'm gonna do ls and see if this is here. Now you can always double check if the folders are aligned properly, if you're doing all the the right things here. Home, Unreal, MMO server, and there you go. Project, and we have all that stuff right here. See, great. Now, if you're new to programming, or if you're just, let's say, a designer, never touch programming, we need to install an IDE to basically be able to work with those files, right? So if you look at my browser here, I want you to go to this and just type download VS Code, all right? So you want to download Visual Studio Code, and you're gonna click on this and just go ahead and install for Windows, Linux, or whatever you need, all right? Just make sure you follow the installation. I won't be doing this. It's because I already have VS Code installed right here. By the way, you don't need to use VS Code. You can use any editor you want. It's just that for me, it's just easy to work with VS Code because it's something I've been working for years and ages, right? Anyway, now that we have this stuff installed and you guys have downloaded everything, before I wrapped up for the day, I want to do this. I want to do a cd // I want to go back one directory, and I am going to type code dot, and I'm going to press enter. All right. Now this is going to basically install the VS Code on the server, and it will allow our WSL to basically output that folder into our VS Code on our main Windows machine, so we can start to work and do all sorts of things with this. All right. On my case here, I already have it running. Okay. And now you should have something, let's say like this, right? You should have a bunch of files with a bunch of configurations and stuff here, right? First thing I would like to do here is this. I'm just going to change to the theme that I like to use. And I'm just going to press load because I prefer this theme. And what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to pause this video. And then in the next one, we're going to go back and start to change our server and create our logic here. All right, it's gonna be very fun. We're gonna have to install packages and things, but we're gonna, you know, get the chance to get a little bit away of the Unreal Engine world, and we're gonna go back and create our server, make sure everything is working, then we're gonna tie everything together. All right, thank you very much for watching, and I see you guys in the next one.